Hello everybody, I'm back. This is my new video on how narcissistic mothers keep us enmeshed. I'll give you my personal experiences with my own mother, who I strongly suspect is a pathological narcissist. I am back home for the break because my semester in college just ended, and I had no choice but to be here. I do not have the financial independence just yet to move out. I'm trying to change that actively. So I get home and I discover that some of my NASCAR memorabilia, such as a t-shirt, for example, from a driver, a very special driver, would be used as cleaning tools. So I discovered, I have a picture on my phone of a t-shirt of a driver, a NASCAR driver that I had, an old shirt, but it's going to be worth something. Was being used to clean the counters in the kitchen. Now, you don't use NASCAR memorabilia, such as a t-shirt, to clean. You don't use something of value to clean. You just don't do it. Enmeshment happens when the narcissistic parent does not see a boundary between him or herself and the child. There's an unhealthy, inappropriate attachment between parent and child. So there are no boundaries. Boundaries do not exist. The narcissistic parent thinks that he or she is entitled to, for example, the child of the narcissist's belongings. Unfortunately for me, there's only so many things I can bring to Charlotte, where I go to school. There's only so many things that I could bring. So I discovered a lot of my belongings being damaged. NASCAR memorabilia I'm talking about here. So I was trying to get out of the house as much as I could today, the 15th. I had a big financial opportunity which would give me an opportunity to become financially independent and give me an opportunity to move out of that apartment. It's about 3 hours away, Richmond, Virginia. As you guys know, I can drive now. Unfortunately, I do not have my full license. So the only way I could drive was if my mom was in the car with me. And of course, anything that benefits me, of course she will not participate in. Unless someone else is watching, someone who she wants to give a good impression is watching. But this is something that would give me financial independence, potentially, and allow me to move out. So of course she does not want anything to do with this. And this is one of the biggest reasons why she does not let me drive. It's because, and she knows I have the skill set to do it. I've driven before. I've used my adult past to drive with limitations. I've used it to my advantage to gain experience, and plus I do a lot of NASCAR related stuff in Charlotte, which has given me a lot of skills, and it has enhanced the frontal and parietal lobes of my brain, which are the parts of the brain, the main parts of the brain used to drive, right? So, and that has been strengthened through a lot of the things I've done in Charlotte, which is why one of the rare opportunities I got to drive, I drove at night. I have zero nighttime driving experience at that point. and I drove. It was a Black Friday, day after Thanksgiving, and I was driving from store to home and had no problem. I was responsible, obeyed all the rules of the law, drove like someone has been driving for several years, had no problem whatsoever. Parking, whatever, almost like a seasoned veteran, had no problem whatsoever. And my mom was just shouting and shouting and shouting, telling me, I'm never letting you drive again. Now, I did nothing wrong, kept the car in the lane, executed lane changes correctly, mirror, signal, shoulder check, executed the lane change properly, did everything right. Stopped where I needed to stop. A lot of people would stop ahead of where they needed to stop. I was very, very responsible, and everything that I learned online, through watching others drive in person, it came together, and it showed that I obviously can do this. And my mom has run out of excuses to not let me drive. And she's been using these excuses for the past 4 years to add me on to the insurance, excuse after excuse, or she would talk about how I'll drive the car into some wall, I'll crash it, or the car will break down, or anything to discourage me from driving. So, as far as this business opportunity, how to get a ride. What I didn't realize was that the people I was getting a ride from were highly unsafe people, irresponsible to the max. They're successful and rich, but it doesn't mean that they're very responsible. So after we made a stop, 30 minutes into the ride, when we got going again, the driver and the passenger both did not wear seatbelts. And I have a picture on my phone of them not wearing seatbelts, of the driver not wearing his seatbelt. And eventually, and it was a husband and wife that took me to this business opportunity. They were generous enough to give me the opportunity, but they were highly irresponsible. So, why, as a mother, do you not want your own son to drive, knowing that your son is a lot more responsible than random people who make really bad decisions? Why would you rather me depend on other people who are not safe, don't make good decisions, don't make good judgments? Why would you want me depending on other people, including yourself, mainly yourself, instead of me getting from point A to point B on my own with my full license, using a car, knowing that I'm responsible enough to do it and have proven myself? It's all enmeshment. It's all to keep me enmeshed. Because the second I get my license, I don't have to deal with verbal abuse on a daily basis. I don't have to deal with being gaslit. I don't have to deal with things from the past being brought up and history being rewritten to make it look like I'm the bad guy. Right? I won't have to deal with any of that, because I'll just find a friend that lives in the area, or maybe 30 minutes, an hour away, and just drive there, spend a night, spend a week, probably. Her ability to acquire narcissistic supply would be over. The ability to keep me enmeshed would be over. So, once we got to the place today in Richmond, Virginia, had a great time, met some great people, learned how to network, learned some great skills that will benefit me in any discipline, in any domain. So it's a great opportunity. I'm glad I took it. It's going to make me a lot of money, regardless of whether or not this business will work out or not. the skills I learn can be applied to any domain, right? So, on the way back, I had to ride with a second group of people who are very close to the first group of people who I rode to go to Richmond. Now, things got even worse. We reached 92 miles an hour on the highway on the way back. I drove with different people hoping for safer driving, right? And I didn't know these people are reckless. I didn't know that. How do I know that? They made these horrible decisions after we started driving, about 30 to 45 minutes into the trip. So how am I supposed to know that they're irresponsible drivers? These people are my only chance to get from point A to point B. I cannot stay at home all day. When someone gives me an opportunity and says that they see something special in me, that's what they say, and they're giving me an opportunity and they're paying for me to be there, I have to capitalize on the opportunity. I have no choice. We're going 92 miles an hour. It is raining in Southern Virginia. Interstate 95. 92 miles an hour, rainy conditions. And guess what the driver is doing? So, the guy is sitting next to me, well, I'm in the back seat. The guy sitting next to me is like, you haven't gotten the full road trip experience yet. In this really awful voice. Driver swerves. Just a little bit. Now, during my driver's ed, and I did it a year late because my parents kept me out of it the first year when I was supposed to do it. But anyway, during my driver's ed, there was a video of a story very similar to this, where it started raining and the driver wanted to play some fun. He wanted to scare the passenger a little bit. It was just two people. And she was swerving around just to scare the person. Well, they lost control, crashed. The passenger died. The driver survived. Gets in big trouble, of course. So I knew we're going even faster. Okay? My life is in fucking danger. Right? Rainy conditions. I looked at the speedometer from the back seat. I am diagonal to the driver. And I'm seeing 92 miles an hour. What is going on? I'm like, dude, I had to negotiate with them to slow down. Slow the fuck down. You're going 92 miles an hour. Slow down. I do a bunch of NASCAR stuff in Charlotte, and I know you don't have as much skill as I do behind the wheel. And you're going that speed, and I know one little slip, we're all dead. Just about. Unless some miracle happens. So I had to negotiate with them to stop, which I was actually successful. He backed it down to about 70, 80 miles an hour. Which still was kind of speeding a little bit, but only by a few miles an hour. He started driving safer, got off his phone, he was kind of respectful. These people seem to have very little impulse control, something that's really, really big. So, I mean, driving skills and decision making require good frontal lobe structure, right? And I don't think they have very good decision making skills. There's something not right with our frontal lobes. Even when the speakers at this event bragged about, and she was late, one of the key speakers at this event was like, I drove 120 miles an hour to get here. So these people seem to have a lot in common. So I don't even know if I want to even do business with them. Okay, because there's little impulse control, a high propensity to take risks. So again, poses the question, do you want me to be able to drive on my own with a full license? Someone that's actually responsible, uses his head, and I had somebody tell me, somebody from NASCAR simulation group tell me that I'm very intense when I get behind the wheel of anything, even if it's a simulation and there's no real life consequences. I am very intense with everything I do when I am behind the wheel of anything, real or fake or simulation, whatever. Very, very serious. I'm locked in. My phone's in the back seat. I even talked about, in one of my classes, we debated on a solution. It was a critical thinking thing, a critical thinking activity in the class. And we talked about a solution to accidents on the road. And I was like, hey, why don't you put phones in the back seat? Everybody looked at me like I was crazy. Yeah, so during the rare opportunities I get to drive, my phone is always in the back seat. Something I learned driver's ed. Yeah, because people at my high school died in accidents. So I know to be careful. I know the dangers. So why do you not want me to drive as a mom? You want to keep me enmeshed? Put me in danger? I have to get rides from people who are irresponsible? One slip and I'm dead. Is that what you want for someone that claims to care so much? Narcissistic parents don't care. They don't care. They don't care about their kid's safety. They don't really love their kid. They say these things, but they really don't. They would rather keep control and keep their kid enmeshed, right, than let their kid become autonomous and independent, because their kid's independence means a loss of control, a loss of narcissistic supply. I had a similar situation happen 3 weeks ago. This is for a class. Positive psychology. As you know, I switched majors this fall to psychology, finally. So, community service event. I needed to go to a place too far for me to Uber. So, there was someone in my community service group willing to give me a ride. Again, I don't know that he was a risky driver until a little bit into the car ride. And he's vowing to go 120 miles an hour. This kid's name is Bryce. I'll never forget his name or face. And he's like, why are you avoiding me? Well, I'm avoiding you for a reason. Because I avoided him after that. He's a nice guy. A lot of these people are nice, but they have really poor impulse control. I can't trust them. I can't drive with them. I can't ride with them. Even when I get my license, full license, I will not drive around them. Period. I'll let them go by. If they ever go iRacing with me in the NASCAR place in Charlotte, I'll probably beat them because they'll wreck the first lap. But anyway, 120 miles an hour. He vowed to go. The only thing that stopped him, guess what? Traffic. Thanksgiving traffic. This is before Thanksgiving. So again, why can't I drive? What is wrong with me driving? Anytime I drive, my mom's voice and heart rate goes up. It's like a loss of control. She's deathly afraid of, it's control she's deathly afraid of losing. Now, I did learn through a cousin that her sister, while growing up, raised her and abused her narcissistically, emotionally, verbally, tried to prevent her from being able to come from her home country to the United States. Took active measures to prevent that from happening. Okay, so now my mom is literally trying to do the same thing to me, and that's not right. I was watching a a video by Sam Vaknin and Richard Grant. And he was talking about, Sam Vaknin was talking about what narcissistic abuse really is. It's the narc literally taking his trauma, taking his pain, his or her pain, and trying to transfer it onto their victim, their kid, their spouse, whoever. Whatever was done to them, they try to do it to other people. And this situation happened to me just a few weeks ago with a prospective romantic partner. Right? Something that was done to them, and they'll tell you what was done to them in a heartbeat, but then they'll do it to you. Right? My full license means freedom. Freedom from my mom. Gone. I will not have to live in that mess. Plus, great businesses like Zipcar exist. Where, guess what? I have up until 180 miles to drive for a pretty affordable rate. I've been making money online. Everything I'm wearing is my own money. Remember my very first YouTube video. Or my dad bragged about all the clothes that he buy for me. Well, I've found ways to make money online. It's not enough to move out though. I've been able to provide things for myself though. Luckily, food. So I don't have to ask my mom for things or ask anybody for things. My dad is still in contact. He has not made any hoovering efforts since. Thank goodness, since my last video. Thank goodness. But enmeshment's a serious problem. Boundaries don't exist. Parents, narcissistic parents, that try to keep their kids enmeshed. And enmeshment is only one way of narcissistic parenting. There's at least one main other method of narcissistic parenting, and I'll get into that for another day. But I just wanted to go over this. I mean, if anything happens to me as a result of me not being able to drive, you know why.